Okay. All right, I think I got this figured out. Hopefully it works. Yeah, that should work. That should work. First time doing this solo. Restream. Okay. Takes a little bit for this thing to get going. Mic is muted. Your mic is muted. No. Hello, hello, hello. All right, so while we're gonna give a few minutes to let some people come in because I believe this is working. Let me check Facebook to see if it's working. I'd love to hear what y'all are thinking about the World Cup. Hey, Cruz, welcome to my live. First time trying to do this for real. Checking if Facebook's working. Okay, yeah, it is working. Okay, it looks to be successful. So, yeah, for the first 10 minutes, I'd like to just uh, talk about the World Cup or anything that you guys have on your mind. If not, then I'll go into some house hacking content. I'll share my screen on a different screen and I'll go into some stuff. But just to have some conversation at the beginning. Uh, so I still have my Mexico jersey on right now. Well, I didn't sleep with it, just to be clear, but I figured it would be a good thing to bring up because it's really fresh on the mind for a lot of us. I was a little disappointed yesterday whenever they subbed off Quinones because he's really Mexico's top goal scorer. But apparently he was very tired. But I really haven't seen many other players perform other than him when it comes to scoring goals. And when they also subbed out Mora, that was quite a surprise. I'm getting some messages from Facebook saying I have some Instagram saying I have some unusual activity um, going on. It thinks I'm hacking myself. Barbosa, welcome to the live. Tell me what you think. What you thought about the World Cup yesterday? About the game? I know you tune into sports. I think I gotta open up the Facebook on this other page. Hey, Gabby, welcome. Gabby, what do you think of the World Cup? Dennis the Menace. Come on, somebody give me some World Cup talk before I go into the mortgage stuff. Mexico messed up with my parlay. What was your parlay, Dennis? Dennis, what was your parlay? And then Gabby, I also thought it was sad just because they started so strong. There was a bunch of ole ole at the beginning, but then later on it was like si se puede. It was And also the red card that Mexico got, it was kind of it didn't really seem like a true red, although I wanted to support Mexico. It was it was pretty clear outside of the box, yellow at max. It really felt like Mexico was handed a little bit of help in a way, and they still couldn't capitalize on it. They just didn't have a goal scorer to get the ball in. Piojo, he's a great passer, but they're just not quite there. He doesn't really shoot. Mora, even when he was in, he wasn't shooting. Quinones really the only person I see take a lot of shots. And then Gallardo, what is he even good for on the left side? So Dennis's parlay was that Mexico was going to be one of the teams making the last eight. It was close. I, I mean, I truly think that they just always being a Mexico fan is kind of exhausting. It's kind of a toxic relationship because you have hope and then it hurts. But oh well. Okay. So thanks for joining the live. This is a new effort, so I really don't expect this to be something that gets a lot of traction at the beginning. But I think it's cool to have a set office hour because we're all virtual nowadays, 2026, especially in real estate. So it's cool if we want to drop in and hang out or also just go over any scenario. So if you have any scenarios you want to talk about that are not related to the main topic, which is house hacking, um, then just shoot it in here. I want this to kind of be kind of like a office hour, but even if no one shows up, I'm still going to talk about X topic, and then that way I can maybe batch the reels and like the content and turn it into reels, or at least have a topic at hand, or if someone's interested in that topic, they know that the show can at least hear about that topic. But it's very flexible. This is not going to be that too serious. Just an hour where I just show up and I'm available. Usually, not usually in calls, and it's a little harder to get a hold of me so easily. Um, so let's see. This is the first time I'm going to try this. I want to try to actually share my screen for the first time. I haven't tried that functionality. So let's see if I pull it off. Okay. All right, so I'm going to try sharing my screen. Oh, Ricardo, thanks for joining the live. What we were chatting about the World Cup a little bit. Tell me what you thought about that World Cup if you did watch it. I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to ask you all to see if this works because I have not tried sharing my screen. So please let me know if you can see my screen. I'm going to go to Zillow. So, uh, bro, if you have a mic, it would sound better. I'm getting echo. Oh my goodness. Let me put this headset on. Or maybe the AirPods. Let's try that. Thank you for the feedback. Let's try it. Okay. Weird. I can hear myself. Okay. Does this sound better, Dennis? No, no, Sige, just me for next time. No, no, Sige, just okay. All right, sounds better. Dennis approves. Okay, perfect. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm mute. I can hear myself, and it's so super annoying. So I'm gonna put the volume all the way down because I can't hear you guys because I'm the only one talking. So this is new territory for me. So all right, so I'm gonna go over house hacking, just some really basic things. Um, as to what it is. So let's go on Google and let's just type in what is house hacking for those that are brand spanking new. So house hacking is a real estate strategy where you buy a residential property and you live in part of it, and you rent out units to essentially income or basically subsidize the cost of living that you have. So typically, what you see on popular websites is a multifamily, duplex, triplex, quadplex. So let's look at why that's challenging in Charlotte. Because I have this scenario pop up all the time is, "Hey, Ricky, I wanna do what I heard on Bigger Pockets," which if you guys don't know what Bigger Pockets is. It's honestly something I don't utilize enough, but I did use it when I was first learning about mortgages and real estate. It's the biggest real estate website, I think, in the United States, and you can find even vendors and stuff like that on there. So, we're right here on the Zillow website. So, I'm gonna draw a line, and I like to call this line what's a little bit more central Charlotte, because if someone is renting out rooms, typically speaking, typically it caters to a younger audience. Typically, the younger audience likes to be closer to the city. So I'm just gonna put in some filters here. I'm gonna put it on the cheaper side. Alright, so here we are. I put 300,000 as the maximum purchase price. I put a 4-bed, 2-bath, and this is what's left right here. So let me draw my line again because I just messed it up. Alright, so, let me do that again. Right here. Not a pretty line, but it'll work. I'm gonna make this a little bigger because I imagine it's not huge on the screen. So let's analyze these house hacks. So here's one. Geez, 4-bed, 2-bath, 1966 build, but clearly it looks renovated. What it looks like. All right, so let's look at this. This is a pretty interesting point. So I'm gonna teach you guys kind of what I look for in a house hack, and anybody just chime in and let me know what you're looking for. And realtors, this is also great information because this is if you ever have a client that says, "Hey, I wanna start house hacking, I wanna rent out the rooms," we need to know how to analyze these properties, and I've had through 3 house hacks, and so I'm gonna show you what I look for in them. And then also, this is another tactic to where maybe some people find buying a home daunting because who maybe they're paying 700 for a room right now, renting with their friends, and if you can guide them on house hacking, perhaps that's a way that they can buy and not feel that they're gonna be stuck in a $2,500, $3,000 mortgage. So we got to kind of make it digestible. So I found this house. Let's just imagine I'm a normal civilian scrolling. W- Does can anyone name a problem with this lot right here for house hacking? Something that might be a challenge? I'd like to see what if you guys see what I see. So it's this house right here. We saw it's pretty renovated, but just from this lot, can anybody detect potential issue right here? I'm gonna give y'all a minute to see if you can guess what I would say would be the first thing that I would say. But remember, house hacking, multiple people living in a property, you're renting out the rooms. What is a problem you would see with this lot? All right, so I know my live is a little delayed. but I'm gonna continue because I haven't seen any comments come in. So the first thing I imagine, let's say car number one parks here. Let's say you're the person that owns the house. And then car number two parks right behind you because this is a single lane driveway. When you need to get out, how are you gonna get out without getting into the grass? That's the problem. Yes, Dennis, you got it. Yes. Yep. I'm gonna pin your comment and I'm gonna reply to it if I can, if I'm that good yet. Oh, yes. Yes. All right. Exactly, because Dennis, yes, you as you nailed it. You're gonna park right here, and then imagine this is a four bedroom. You have three other bedrooms, so you one car here, one car here, one car here. First off, it's probably only gonna fit three cars, and this street doesn't even look like a street you can park on the street because it's not very wide. So you're gonna end up ruining your grass if you buy this house. Like that's just the reality because you would want one car here. Probably a car here, a car here, a car here. Your grass is gonna be toast. Like, that's just the reality if you bought this house. Either that or you're gonna be annoyed with each other because every time you have to get out, somebody's gonna have to move the car. And imagine if you have any guest, it's gonna get even worse. So, that's a huge problem in a lot of house hacks is the parking is a challenge. So let's look at another one. And notice I have it at 4 beds, 2 baths, 300,000. Why do I have it at this? Well, 300,000 is kind of a starter price for homes in Charlotte. It's challenging to find something 250 or lower. And let's compare 250 to 300. Every 50,000 is about $400, but you're probably not gonna find a 4-bedroom in Charlotte for 250. So I would rather have a client spend an extra 50K for that $400 elevated payment, but you can get earn more than $400 for that extra bedroom. So once again, let's do the math here. The calculator, let's do a calculator visual so you guys see what I'm saying. If you have 3 bedrooms, if you have 2 extra bedrooms and you're renting each one for 750 and it's a 3-bedroom, you're only making 1,500. But then if you have 3 extra bedrooms because you bought a 4-bedroom, let's say you do 750 times 3, you're at 2,250. So your earnings outweighs your elevated cost. So that's why I really like this sweet spot of 300,000 for 4 bedrooms and at least 2 full bathrooms. Hey, Stephanie, thanks for joining the live. We're going over some house hacking, but I would love to. We were talking about the World Cup at the beginning. If you, we were talking about how we were disappointed. If you want to drop a comment on what you thought about the game, please interrupt. I'm just having a general topic I'm covering, but we can talk about whatever as we're going through it. Hey, Paul, thanks for joining my live. So let's go to another property. And let's just analyze some properties, and I'll connect it to the mortgage side as I go. So 285 condition could use some TLC. Yeah, that's a little outdated. And where's the parking? It's probably a single lane driveway. So a lot of first time buyers, they're not going to have a lot of cash. And look, it's been on the market for 126 days. This is probably going to need a little bit of work. We're looking at a 1956 house in this case. So actually, another thing that I like to do is I do like I do like putting homes 2000 or newer, just for those newbie house hacks. It's just ideal to have a less old home. Of course, this is just a quick search. There's gonna be some properties that are renovated that could be a good fit. I'm just doing a quick search just so we can find something. But look, now you're gonna have these. Oh wow, 5 bed, 2 bath. Let's see what this is. It is a fully updated near Camp North End, 4 bed, 2 bath, detached, prime location. But this is this is the only picture. Okay, that's strange. And then the days on Zillow is blank. It's coming soon, no show. Okay, that's why. This is well, they put 5 beds when in the description it says 4 beds, so that's strange. There's not much to underwrite there. What is this over here that's 95,000? It's probably some who put something for 95,000? 4 bed manufactured home for sale in a great neighborhood close to shops. Interesting. I've never seen a manufactured home pop up on my search. Huh. Well, where is this? Spring. So another thing I'm gonna do a lot whenever I'm looking at these house hacks is you gotta check the distance. The first thing that's gonna happen whenever you're looking at these house hacks is this is what your prospect, your tenant is gonna be doing. They're gonna look at how far is this from XYZ. So let's just say we're looking at this manufactured home, and then let's say we're talking about uptown, because a lot of young professionals work in uptown. 23 minutes from uptown's a little far. South End. Well, this is on the east side, so the best thing you could hope for is promoting being some people would put you're 20 minutes from Noda. I mean, this is kind of interesting. $95,000 for a manufactured home. You could probably rent each one of these for like four, maybe $500 a room. $500 for those extra 3 bedrooms. You're making $1,500, and your mortgage is around it's around $800. That's actually not a bad deal. And it looks like you've got multiple spots in your parking. Let's see how this Google Maps view looks. Um, the street view. Let me throw little man out here. Oh, I can't. The blue highlighted areas is where street view is. So they don't have it available. But it looks like, I mean, two, that looks like multiple parking spots right here, perhaps three. This person is just taking up 2 spots. This is honestly could be a good first home. Built in 2015. They sold to be 20 minutes from Uptown, but look, it's not 20 minutes from Uptown. Be careful when you're looking at these listings because this route has restricted usage or private roads. Yeah, but if your tenant, if you say 20 minutes and it says 23, and then if they look at a time that there's traffic, it's going to show 25. Always assume your commute's a little higher than it is because that's what your prospective tenants are going to put. That's interesting. This manufactured home is something I'm going to save for some clients and put it in a separate tab. Might send it out. And if you hop into the live, you get to see we get to discover some things together. All right, so let's go back. What is this quilt? Usually this area is pretty expensive. 300,000. Wow, 300,000 down here in close to Starmount. So for those that don't know, South Charlotte is kind of the more developed part of Charlotte. And South Charlotte tends to be more expensive than North Charlotte and West Charlotte. I would say South and East are the pricier ones, and North and West becomes more affordable. Clearly, you can see that, and we have way more options here on the West. East, we only saw one manufactured home, but it's pretty far east. And then this is interesting, but We don't know the condition of this property. But south, I'm very surprised that they even find anything. So let's see, um, what this is about. Let's see a little bit more about this property. And one thing that's cool is I can actually do a 1 buy down with any of these. So I might find some of these properties, and if I see any clients that are pre-approved, I might send this out to some properties. So I mean, some of the clients I have pre-approved, and send it to the realtor, and then we can do a free 1 buy down on this, no cost to the client. Or I can even help the listing agent tell them, hey, there's no preferred lending incentive right here. So I can let them know, hey, I can help you sell your property and give something to the buyer, because right now they're not listen per looking at the description, there's not any incentives I see. But let's look at the property, back to the house hacking stuff. Thank you, Deanna, for the support. Yeah, we're looking out for the clients. All right. So let's go back. Let's analyze this. 816 Bronze Pike Drive. And let's put this in maps so we can see what it's close to. How far is it from uptown? 16 minutes. That is not bad. Now we do know, for all the Charlotte locals, we do know that 77 can have more traffic, but that is not a bad commute to go to uptown. And what's even more important is this south part of Charlotte has so much business. A lot of people work down here. A lot of people. A lot of people work in Steel Creek, Fort Mill, South Park, Pineville. So you're in a location where you're close to this Highway 77, this 485, and South Boulevard. You're close to some of the most major roads. Let's take a look at this. I like this 2-lane driveway. I like what I see. Let's keep going. Let's see if it's a true. It's funny because whenever I'm looking at these properties, always vinyl siding. It's just more affordable. Nice, pretty big living room. I like these doors in the back. Kitchen's a little small, but what I've done before is I've gotten a floating island and I've put it somewhere else to accommodate. We had a dishwasher. That's always nice in a house hack. Cabinets. So something to note, this is a 4 bedroom. If you're gonna have 4 people or 4 adults living here, this is not a lot of cabinet space. So you would have to get um, some storage situated, because there's not a lot of storage space here. All right. Good. The rooms look to be pretty decent sized. I've noticed about the most you can squeeze out of a 4 bedroom, and being kind of on the smaller side is in an affordable side, is close to around 1,400, 1,500 square feet. I have a 4 bedroom, and it's around 1,400, I think. I love the two-way driveway, two-lane driveway. Notice how much better this property is than the other one in terms of house hack potential. And that neighborhood looks very promising. At least we know that this is a heavily developing area. So let's look at the street view here. We have access to street view. Look, that's great right there. You could have a car parked here in the mailbox. You have a garage too. You're not gonna get to use it too much, because I mean, you're gonna have cars backing out. Let's see. Uh, it's not perfect. So let me tell you what I see here. One car will park freely here. One car will park freely here. Okay. We still have 2 more cars to worry about. So this is definitely your lawn because it's in front of your house. If you park here, neighbors could get upset right here. So you really are pulling off 3 car parking easily. With that 4th car, you might have to have 2 people park 1 person park in front of the other on the street here, in front of the driveway here, blocking out. If you don't wanna make any enemies, you never know what kind of neighbors you're gonna have. Let's see if there's a spot to park down the road. Um, yeah, you're not fitting more than 1 car here. See, this is golden right here. This is what you want ideally. You want that corner lot because you look at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is ideal house hack real estate right here because you can park on this street here. And what I like to always say is, who cuts the lawn? If I cut the grass, that's my parking spot. Obviously, it's not official, but that's the whole way I look at it is I cut the grass, I'm parking here, get out of here, and it's off of your house too, so it's just it's not illegal, someone could park there, but it's kind of like on hidden rules. And it's the same over here. Technically, the house that I was analyzing is this one. You could park here, but you may make some enemies, and it's not good to have any enemies at home. Okay, let's see what else I see on this one. HOA. So it has an HOA, but it's only $87 a month. Likely, it's probably not an HOA that has a lot of restrictions. It's likely an HOA that it might just be for some small community amenities. This is where you'd want to work with an agent that's going to check all the rules and regulations and make sure that it's something that won't restrict you because there are HOAs that will be against you renting out your rooms. And so you're going to want to make sure of that. But I like this one. And notice it says it's likely to sell 99% faster than everything nearby. And let's look at the values. Sometimes you can see the sales values here. Definitely very much a cookie cutter neighborhood, and they put everything together. And sometimes, unfortunately, those are some of the best house hacks in terms of cash flow. But equity wise, they're off sometimes neighborhoods, and they're not going to grow the fastest. Okay, this is what I was looking for. The subject property we're looking at is this one. I said 3.2. What did this sell for? It sold for 295 in 2025. Interesting. Let's see why. Honestly, less attractive home th than the one we're looking at. It has 1 less bedroom, but it does look to be single level, and that tends to be attractive with oh, no, there's a window up here. But single level homes tend to be more attractive with the retired population, as it obviously stairs are a challenge. I like this. So, one thing I want you guys to know, let's look at this map here. This is like an area that is very close to expensive real estate. Starmount Montclair, this is This is kinda like the South Boulevard side. You can see South Boulevard right here of South Charlotte, but you jump over here, you're gonna be close to Quail Hollow and South Park really quick. L like, look at the property values over here. 731, 903, and it's just this close to each other. So, you just kinda have to wait for the values to go up, but you're at least close to it, and more importantly, in house hacking's main selling point is not equity, it's cash flow, and being close to the city and where the jobs are is pretty good. I actually like this house hack. What would the estimated payment be? So let's say if you put the lowest down payment, which is 3% down conventional for first-time buyer or 3.5% down for FHA, you're borrowing basically all the money. They're letting you borrow, "Hey, Rosemary, this is I'll send it to you right here, and let's work on it together." Actually, I'll just drop the link for you. Thank you for showing up to the live. I'll just drop the link for you. This is a good house hack, Rosemary. This is a good house hack. Uh, Instagram, Rosemary's on Facebook, so that's where that comment came from. She asked for the address. She's doing some research. Hopefully, we can get somebody into a house. But so the estimated payment on this, every 100,000, I like to say conservatively, is about $800. So we're looking at a payment of around 2,400, 2,500. I add an extra 100 because of this HOA. So if we're looking at a payment around 2,500, that's with taxes, insurance, mortgage insurance, everything. If you can get divided by 3, if you can get the other rooms rented out for 833, you're going to cover your whole payment. Now I'm gonna be realistic with you. I think that's a little high for that neighborhood. Some people can pull it off if you spend the time marketing properly. You're maybe it accepts shorter leases. You can charge more if you do shorter leases, like maybe month to month, 3 months. Some people your people pay more for flexibility because if they go to an apartment where they want a one-year lease, well, if they ask the apartment complex for a shorter lease, they always charge in almost double. So you have kind of a market advantage there to where if you're wanting to charge more for house hacks, but you're willing to spend the time to interview more people, you can do shorter leases and make more money. So you could accomplish that with shorter leases. If you want 1-year lease, just to not to talk to as many people, I would say 750 is a good ballpark, including utilities and everything to be conservative. I like to be conservative when I'm running the numbers. You're looking at 2,250. So I, you would be looking at maybe spending $300 to live in your own house. That's before utilities, of course. So with utilities, internet, all of that stuff, maybe you're looking at like conservatively another $300. So paying $600 out of pocket ballpark to live in your own property, but now you're starting in real estate and it's less than paying rent is not a bad start. And you're in one of the fastest growing cities in the United States. It's a pretty decent investment. So I would call this house hack pretty decent. The only thing I would be concerned about is the high ticket items. I would want to get that roof checked out because it's 2005. A lot of that if that roof's never been changed, it might be time to get that roof replaced. And then HVAC, all of that. Large living room area, laundry room on main level, 3 bedroom upstairs. Oh, this one thing that I like about this house, like, is the primary suite is on the main floor. So if you kinda wanna have that feeling where you're a little bit more separate from the other bedrooms, then you can have that first floor to yourself, and a lot of times, people that rent out these rooms, rent by the room, they're going to be in their room a lot. Depends on which kind of professionals you get too, so you can determine what you want there. I like it. So, cash flow on this one, once again, I estimate payment to be around 2,500, and then with utilities, let's call it 300. We're at around 2,800, and I think conservatively, you make around 7 room, so 750 room times 2,250, let's call it 2,300 because maybe you'll market more than I would, and so you're looking at pretty good deal. Yeah, 2,500 plus 300, 2,800, 2,800 minus 2,400, about $400 out of pocket. That's being conservative. If you do the 6-month leases, I've charged up to $1,000 for a 6-month lease. So let's say you do 850 and you do 6 leases, boom, you're at 2,600 and you're only paying like $200 out of pocket to live in your own house. Now, you do have to take into account the turnover because the risk you run with these shorter leases is now you have to look for people more often and you want to shorten that turnover as much as possible. And so if you have even if it's renting for 850, but you miss a whole month, I'm only going to times it by 11. You're making 9350 a year, which averages out to 779. So versus the person that maybe offers it for, let's say you just offered your room for 775, you're almost making the same as if you offered the room for 850 and you were flexible and you did half the work because you only had to find one tenant versus finding another. So occupancy is key. And I personally prefer to have the prices a little competitive so that you can choose better people that you in this situation we're talking about house hacking you to live with, so you want to be with people that you think are agreeable that would make good roommates, because if you price it too high you're going to have less options, and with less options you may get desperate and you may pick someone that probably wouldn't enjoy living with. And I'm a big advocate of quality of life, so just do it a little cheaper. Have people you enjoy having in property that are gonna respect your property, that are gonna make it a home of peace, and focus on occupancy is my biggest piece of advice. I like this one. I'm going to also save this one on my secret screen over here, and then I'm gonna send it to a couple of realtors, maybe, or proof of clients that are shopping, and see if it's something they would be interested in. So let's go back to our search. Let's just review one more property, and then I'm going to call it a day and go back to doing my job. So you're going to find some properties outside of this circle, but it's just going to be harder to get people to want to rent there. At least yeah, people will just want to be close to everything. Typically the people that I've seen that rent rooms. Hey, Gabby, I will send you the address later. I don't have that window open over here. I'll connect with you after the live. All right, so let's look at the west side. I live on the west side. Let me give you the pros and cons of the west side. Pros is you can find properties cheaper, higher value. Neighborhoods are hit or miss in terms of safety. At my neighborhood's not the safest on one side of the street, but on my side of the street, it's actually nice. But there's just less turnover in terms of property selling, at least in my neighborhood, and that makes it harder to support values to trend upwards because you need comparables for the appraiser to see that prices are trending upwards for the prices to continue to increase. Now, you could argue this is kind of one of the last bargain markets in Charlotte because look how close you are to the city. I mean, goodness. So let's take a look at these properties. This is probably new construction that just wiggled its way in. Let's see if it's real. No money, micro floor plan. Jeez. 4 bed, 3.5 bath. Very nice. HOA is not too high. This would be worth checking out as well. My only concern with this one would be if they would allow you to house hack. Looks like it's one of the big builders because I see this the sign there. But pretty crazy. $300,000 and you get a 4 bed, 4 bath. One of them is a 3.5. I mean a half bath. That's pretty impressive if there's not a catch to it. Wow. Interior looks really nice. They did a lot with only 1,750 square feet. They did really good. That's one benefit of modern floor plans is they really know how to get a lot out of these floor plans sometimes. This one's interesting. I'm gonna save this one as well. I'm intrigued. 2026 new build, 300,000. Jeez, very impressive. Okay, so and note let's look at the neighborhood. Let's do that before we get too excited. Gotta do what we do to the clients. All right. House hack wise, look at that. It's only 11 minutes from uptown. So imagine you could be in this property, 300,000. Once again, every 100,000 is around 800 bucks, conservative ballpark. So it's around 2,400 payment. But you have 4 bedrooms, and in this nice of a house, I wouldn't be surprised if you could rent it out for 800 each. You could probably cover your whole mortgage payment, have a brand new home. Oh, I didn't take into account the HOA, so perhaps you're out of pocket 253 and $300 for utilities. Let's say less than 600 bucks as well. If this HOA allows for you to house hack. Oh, True Homes. True Homes, that's who it is. Realtors in the chat, does True Homes restrict on house hacking, on renting out of the room? Do y'all know by any chance how the rental restrictions for True Homes? I believe they're probably one of the more flexible ones, but I'm not sure. I don't work with them a lot. But only 11 minutes from uptown, and you're really close to the airport. Let's check the airport. So you could end up also getting into the at 7 minutes from the airport. This could be something for flight attendants, pilots. That's a market I really enjoy of renters. Now let's check this neighborhood. Can we get a view of this neighborhood? I'm just gonna put this on Google. All right, street view. Not bad. I mean, it's a new construction through home, so they're probably basically just gonna take over the whole block. Actually, looks pretty quiet. There's you don't see a lot of. It looks like it's in maybe a little bit of an industrial area. They're just making that investment. You can see that he across the street. There's some manufactured homes, so that's probably not helping the values too much. But I mean, that's what it means to get affordable housing. I like it. I like that one. Good option. Pretty impressive, actually. Well, found 3 house hacks during this call. Found 3 house hacks. I have quite a lot of text messages. Let's see if any of them are important, relevant to this. Oh, no. Okay. Just business stuff. So I have 3 house hacks I'm gonna be looking at for my pre-approved buyers. And let's look at this one. Where's the parking? Yeah, that's crazy. Look at this, y'all. This is a perfect example of being out of touch, I think, and personally. Unless it was insane real estate, 245,000, 245,000. And then look at the stairs. Look at the condition of the property. And we just saw another property that was only $50,000 more. Look, let's go back. I'm gonna open this one back up. If it's true. Even if it's not true, we found some others that have been better. So I'm showing you three good house hacks and one that just doesn't make any sense. They have this at 245, 900. It's only 1,242 square feet. Look at what we found for only $50,000 more. Even Zillow agrees 99%, it was likely to sell 99% faster. This one's only $50,000 more, and it's brand new, and it has almost 500 square feet more. And then this one's only about 100K, and honestly, I'd rather have this manufactured home that's 2015, looks like it's in good condition, has good parking, I can actually live in it, than this that's not. This wouldn't even pass an appraisal. You actually couldn't buy this. The appraiser for primary home loan, they would say, "This is not livable. You're not gonna close on this until it's livable." So you wouldn't even be able to close on it. This is this is a no-no. Um, yes, it is. Yes. Alright, so I'm gonna stop here in the last 5 minutes, and I'm gonna let you guys ask some questions. Oh, I just realized I could show the comments on the stream. I'm still learning how to do this. Um, but I'll let you have the last 5 minutes. You wanna talk about the World Cup? You wanna talk about any of the properties that I found? Any questions? I'll give you guys the last 5 minutes to shoot me what you've got on your heart. I'm really as I'm waiting for the questions in the comments, and if nothing pops up, I'm just gonna keep looking at this. I'm really intrigued about this one. Oh, it does there's a street view here. I didn't have to go to Google, it was on Zillow. This one is incredibly intriguing, and it's nice too. You'd have that builder's warranty. So look at this. Did that mobile home include the land? Great question, Gabby. For home for sale in a great neighborhood. Great question. That's why we need the realtors in this chat. It looks like maybe it's not. Let's see. It says in a great neighborhood, so maybe it's in a community. Oh, geez, up to 5 parking spots. That's pretty good. If it doesn't include the land, you wouldn't be able to do a mortgage with it because mortgages want the land included, and then you're probably gonna have lot rent. Gabby, based off photo, do you think it would be including the land? It does look somewhat private. I have an idea. Let's go for an excursion. Mecklenburg County property tax bill search. Alright, so we're gonna look up Spring Laurel Drive. 11820. 11820 Spring Laurel. I found the property tax bill. That's it. It's only 409. Let's look at the description. I imagine they do probably own the land. Yeah, it looks like it. What do you think, Abby? Based off what I found the property tax bill. I found who owns the property. It's listed. Here's the oh, realtor is sales representative. It says listed by sales representative. What does that mean, Abby, if you're still with us? Or and what does it mean when it just says sales representative? That's it. I haven't seen that before, but I don't see many manufactured homes when I'm on my, house hack search. Sales representative, but I do see that you have the property tax bill, there's the taxes, the waste, the late list penalty. Well, it looks like they paid it late. Yeah, I'm over here showing people's dirty laundry because 'cause I'm calling them out that they paid their taxes late. Looks like it, as long as I'm analyzing it correctly. Gabby said, "I think it's a community." Well, Gabby, this is not a bad use of $100,000. I mean, especially if they take lower. Imagine they take 80. Does the tax bill include the building? It says location, taxing lesson. This is all I see. I have a friend that can help us. Hey, Claude, let's see. Let's see if it can even read this link. No, I can't. Okay, so this is what I'm gonna do. Print, print, print. I'm gonna print it. This is kind of more of a realtor's job. I don't really do this, but let's just I'm gonna just show you what I would do if I was the one interested in it. And then I would consult with your trusty realtor. All right, let's save this as mobile home tax bill. Downloads. Let's go over here. Does this tax bill include the land and manufactured home? Trying to figure out if it's all included. Don't show what, Gabby? Oh, you're right. It only covers the manufactured home, not the land. Yep. So, yeah, you're right. I'm curious how much the land would be. Still not a bad price. It looks to be pretty good condition too. I've al I this happens a lot with the Latino community. A lot of times Latinos wanna get into manufactured homes. They're good for cash flow if you can get it at the right price, but you need to buy it oftentimes cash if it's in a mobile home community just like this one. You're not gonna be able to get a mortgage on something like this, but this is something even I'd be interested in if it was like a low enough price. 'Cause you could probably get some pretty decent cash flow out of it. Gabby, do you know how much you think it would rent for? How much do you think this would rent for? Maybe we can try to get one of your investors on it. I mean, I couldn't do the loan on it, but I mean, even if I help you, it's still works towards my value proposition of helping agents and my partners help their clients. So I'd be happy to um, at least been part of you helping one of your investor clients. Let's see how much this would rent for. It's 4 bed, 2 bath. Let's see. Let's ask Claude. Oh, the big giveaway here, Gabby, was number 303. I didn't even notice that. That's a huge giveaway that it's the lot and they're in a community. I completely missed that. So if you guys don't know what I'm using Claude. And I I mean, obviously, I'm not the first to use it, but this is part of the behind the scenes. Okay, so if the land charge is 500 a month, that's not bad though. Where else, Gabby, are you going to find something that you pay 100,000 for and it rents for 1,500 to 1,800? That's pretty darn good. I'm intrigued. Well, it was great chatting with you all, and I'm gonna end the live. I'm gonna try to do this every Monday and just tune in, and over time, hopefully we can all grow together. Even if it stays small, I love that Gabby and I get to look at some properties. I appreciate everybody tuning in as they could, and just gonna do this every Monday, 10 a.m. That's the goal, so that we can have a live office hour, chit chat a little bit, have a time to talk about random questions, and I'll try to have a topic at hand to where it can kind of keep us on track working towards something. Um, Perhaps I'll look at some more house hacks next week. If you have any requests on things you want me to cover, just shoot me a message and I'll consider covering it. Thank you for joining, and let's have a productive week. Let's grow together. Here's Let's see if I can figure out how to end this. In stream, found it.